At Sierra, you'll always find apparel, footwear, and gear for 20 to 60% less than department and specialty store prices. But right now, it's clearance time, so you can save even more on everything you need to get active and outside. Visit your local Sierra store today.
Shop 4th of July savings at the Home Depot right now and get up to 40% off, plus up to an extra $600 off select appliances with free delivery, like Samsung. From all-in-one washer dryers to smart refrigerators, upgrade to tech you can trust with Samsung appliances. The Home Depot has what you need to simplify your routine. Don't miss 4th of July appliance savings at the Home Depot. Free delivery on appliance purchases of $396 or more. Offer valid June 18th through July 9th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Against the spread. Against the spread.
Against the Spread is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Chris.
Against the spread. Against the spread.
That's a new song.
Against the spread. Against the spread. Against the spread. All right, we're going to go to Major League Baseball. I was good last week. You remember Trevor Rogers? Terrible advice by me. Follow me this week. I was bad last week. Going to be good this week.
Against the spread.
Arizona Diamondbacks.
Against the spread.
At Padres.
Against the spread.
Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres against Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen, a 5-something ERA. He's lost it. I'm going with the Padres. Minus 1.5.
Against the Spread.
Against the spread.
Very happy music there. Yes, Trevor Rogers again threw a bunch of scoreless innings again yesterday after we said that all he does is have an ERA of 5. There are a handful of things that I need to get to before the end of the show. Do not let me forget. I need to publicly apologize for something that embarrassed me last week. Do not let me forget to make sure that I do that before I get out of here, because I've spent enough time today not doing it. I don't know how you guys absorbed the news this weekend, and I know many of you have been tired of the way that I talk about climate change, but what happened in Central Texas is not something that we have seen a whole lot of, where you go from a death count that starts at 20 that ends up over 80 when we're talking about it now, but they still are looking for children when you get 4 months or 6, it was 4 months of rain in 6 hours, and you get no warning whatsoever when you're sending your kids to one of 18 sleepaway camps around there, that there's any possibility that you're dropping your kids off for the last time because the water's going to sweep them away, because we just have no ability to, the way that some of these weather forecasts have been cut through some of the budget cuts, to warn people about stuff that doesn't have a precedent and doesn't feel like it has a warning. But you must have some sort of warning that if you're sending your kids to sleepaway camp, you're going to get them back. And the idea that the water could rise to levels that are between 24 and 30 feet, and the Guadalupe River would get to a point so fast that the thing that measures it breaks, that it's a record-breaking amount of height on a river where you get your family just swept away in an area or a region where no one expected it. It feels like we're playing like the world's most negative lottery with natural disasters, where you just don't know where it is that you can put people that you love and have them be safe.
This is unimaginable. We live in South Florida where we are subject to hurricanes, but we're almost lucky in that we get 4 or 5 days of gradual notice when a hurricane is advancing and whether or not it's going to hit us directly. This was just out of nowhere, seemingly. And as these weather catastrophes become more and more common, weather forecasting and meteorology should be something that we prioritize as a public safety.
You say that we have a warning for hurricanes, but I wonder when things like this happen, what these kinds of budget cuts to our forecasts will mean in terms of the accuracy of any and all of these things, given that I'm I'm next to certain that none of those people had any sort of idea that that would even be possible, that you would get 4 months of rain in 6 hours. I need some sort of palate cleanser, some sort of sorbet to allow me to segue from the lack of safety of the moment to something happier. So can you get me the stat of the day music, please?
Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
Stat of the day is presented by Miller Lights.
This is from Warren Sharp, and I feel bad for Warren Sharp because now I associate him with coming on our show, me saying endlessly what an expert he is at football, how great his information is, and then he had his worst week ever giving information to an audience and offered all of our listeners a refund because he went like 1-11 or 0-12 or something. But this stat's amazing. Alexander Mattison had 9 rushes inside the 5-yard line last season. You want to guess what his numbers were? 9 rushes inside of the 5-yard line.
9 yards.
Well, it was 0 yards. It's actually worse than 0 yards. It's 0 touchdowns. It's -7 yards.
Wow.
That is the worst anybody's been in 25 years carrying the ball inside the 5-yard line. Most people, when they have that many carries, get at least a total of 2 yards. Most people get at least a total of -2 yards. He gets -7 yards. That's kind of amazing, is it not? You go home at night as a running back and you have someone print that and you're mad at that person, correct? You have someone put that information in the public and it embarrasses you. I believe isn't his nickname the Sous chef? Wasn't his name because he played behind Dalvin Cook?
Do you remember there was that one game where Jerome Bettis had 5 carries for 1 yard and 3 touchdowns?
Was that a Super Bowl?
According to Google, Alexander Mattison's nickname is Deuce. Yeah. So close.
I'm pretty sure. Go look up nickname Sous Chef and see if you find anything.
Without seeing it written down, just hearing the name Alexander Mattison, I would say, yeah, he signed the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
It's a good question. Put it on the poll at Batard Show. Alexander Mattison, -7 yards inside the 5-yard line or sign the Declaration of Independence?
When you see it written, though, you know running back. When you hear it, you say, yeah, he signed that thing.
I want you to look up for me the nickname Sous Chef, and I want to see if you guys have to take it back because I wouldn't make up that. I didn't make it up. It's Dalvin Cook was the running back. He cooked, see? And so when you need somebody behind him to get you -7 yards on 9 carries from inside the 5-yard line, 0 touchdowns, you would agree, Greg Cote, that that's damn near impossible to do.
I think that if you put me in a uniform and handed me the ball and I fell forward to where the quarterback is, I would have about those same stats for 9 carries.
I think you would. I think Greg is actually right. Zaslow, you're sitting here laughing, but I do believe that if Greg just took the ball and curled up in the fetal position near the quarterback's legs,
right,
he would have about -7 yards.
Right.
I just feel like he would have such a hard time getting up.
Well, I mean me at my age. I don't even mean me in my 20s. I could do that now. That's almost impossible to be that athletic and that big and have those stats.
Well, he's very athletic. I wouldn't say he's that big. And I see that my entire team is now searching the entire internet for Sous Chef, but I'm not convinced that Chris knows how to spell Sue.
Right.
I got there.
I was thinking the same thing.
I did stumble upon a random tweet, a random person who tweeted, quote, "No one calls Alexander Mattison a sous chef." randomly. But somebody must have said it
Someone
for
said
him,
it
for
on
someone
the-
to tweet.
on
No
the-
one calls
well,
him that.
The reason I know it is because they said it on the Red Zone. It's the only reason that I know that is because I'm like, oh, that's clever. Because I didn't know what a sous chef was. It's how Alexander Mattison is the one who taught me what a sous chef was because I did not know or understand the nickname and had to go look it up.
You haven't seen like cooking movies?
I know nothing about cooking. You wouldn't know it from looking at my swollen face. but I know-
Ratatouille?
Popcorn.
I don't know anything about cooking. Thank you, Billy, for that fake sincerity.
I
in your
found a
voice.
chef, Paul Madison. Is that helpful?
This tweet that I found was on Sunday at 1:33 p.m. So that means he must have also heard
This
on
Sunday?
Red Zone. No, it was in 2021, but it was on a Sunday at 1:33 p.m. And he tweeted, "No one calls him sous chef," so he must have been called sous chef on Red Zone. This checks out for me. Dan was right.
Close enough. Thank you.
What date was it? Let's see if he was playing at that time.
I
It was
appreciate
October 17th, 2021.
All right, I'm on it.
appreciate the support, Billy. I don't appreciate anything that you're doing right now.
Fact checking? I'm sorry. Are we not in the industry of truths?
We are.
I guess we're not. I don't know. October 17th, what now?
I read,
2021.
thank you for looking up all those facts. I also read, and I don't know whether or not you guys would find this surprising at all, because I know how many people all across America are feeling the difference between wealthy people and people who are not wealthy, and in general, the feelings of inflation that seem overwhelming at times. But Bloomberg is saying that more than a third of Americans making $250,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. And I thought that was stunning. I thought even understanding that there are very few frustrations that anyone listening to this has that are going to be larger than I can't pay my bills, or there's nothing that I can do with my finances or my work to get out ahead of the rising price of things. Bloomberg saying that more than a third of Americans making $250,000 a year as a household are living paycheck to paycheck. That surprised me.
I can't fathom it because it seems to me that if that's the case, you must be living over your means. In other words, you must be living like millionaires when you're not a millionaire. You know what I mean? Like how else would somebody get in that situation making that kind of money? People, the average guy making $60,000 a year can't fathom that.
It seems that those numbers seem impossible, and I know a lot of people are confused at all times by the economy, but especially confused now by the economy. Why are you and your son having a private conversation? He's reprimanding you about the microphone,
Yes.
and you're mouthing back at him the word sorry.
I know.
As if I
he has
can't
his
see
microphone
you.
pointed away from him.
As if
and
I
he
can't
stands
see
back.
you.
So it's
He's like
this-
mimicking with the microphone, and
I'm just like, God, do you not hear the difference?
no.
I fixed this microphone 2 hours
I
ago.
know.
How did it? Oh,
Roy, you did everything you could.
There is no accounting for his general reckless incompetence, Roy. There's no containing it. It will just spill over whatever your boundaries are.
I mean, at least this time he didn't say the microphone should be following him.
No, but theoretically it should.
October 17th, 2021, the Vikings played in Carolina at 1 p.m.
Ooh, so Madison.
Alexander Mattison had 3 carries for 10 yards, and the Vikings won 34-28.
In one of those carries, the shoe set.
Before Zaslow gets out of here for a very important ESPN radio hit that he has to do, I just want to get his general thoughts on fireworks and people filming fireworks.
Dan, you got to be kidding me, all right? You want to enjoy your fireworks? Fine. Can we live in the now? Can you enjoy the moment? These people who are recording on their iPhone, all of a sudden they're photographers, they're cameramen, they're recording the fireworks. Are you telling me that in a couple days go by and you're just sitting around with your family like, hey, gang, gather around. Let's watch the fireworks video I recorded. Nobody does that. Nobody who records the fireworks then goes back and watches it later on. Why are you recording your fireworks?
What about recording my daughter watching fireworks? Good?
That's cute.
Well, are you going to go back and watch your daughter watching fireworks?
I'm doing it right now, actually.
Yes.
It's nice.
Okay, fine. All right, fine. At least you're focused on your daughter there. But recording the fireworks for what? You're gonna cast it on your TV in your family room?
No,
hey everybody, it's Saturday night. Let's watch the fireworks.
I believe, isn't it something that they're doing to show all their friends that right then, that moment, they're posting that immediately. It's not to look at it later. It's to show everyone that at that moment you're watching fireworks.
What's going on around the world? Everyone's watching fireworks. You should post a video not watching fireworks.
I want to make sure everyone knows I'm having a better 4th of July than them.
Right.
That's what it is.
No,
But everyone's doing the same thing.
But mine's not as mine's better.
Yeah.
I want a video of someone staring at the wall on the 4th of July. Well, look at that guy. He's doing something different.
All right, Zaslow. All right, get out of here.
4th
On that
of July.
note, with your rage, get out of here. Jog out of here, and you've never looked more alive than when you jog away
Confident.
right now from a from a fuse on a firework. That is Chris Cote's greatest contribution to our show, saying that he's never felt more alive than when he is jogging lightly away from a fuse that has been lit. It is a vibrant time. It says you can get out of here. Behind the bit is John Amici this time. We stump him all the time with Stugotz. He's never won this game. Let's go behind the bit with John Amici trying to figure out what it is that Stugotz's latest mispronunciation is.
Jeremy, you know something about me, right? You know when I'm grilling outside and it's summertime, you know how I supplement my summertime?
Of course I do.
I make it Miller time.
Of course.
That beautiful white can. Oh, when it's so hot outside, I just put it right to my forehead, right there. And I just roll it sometimes, right on the forehead, cool my body down, and then I crack it open, instant relief, and then that first sip, brother, does that first sip?
That is a top 5 sequence of events that you can possibly go through.
I'm just serenity now when I just imagine that first sip of Miller Lite.
Just thinking about it's making me happy.
Dude, the sun is out, it's nice, you have your friends showing up, you got your family there, you just had your first sip of Miller Lite, and you know what? You're happy, you're blissful, you're fulfilled. I've been stocking my cooler with Miller Lite for 4 years, and for good reason. It's brewed for taste. Only 96 calories and 3.2 grams of carbs. This year, Miller Lite turns 50. That is 5 decades of cookouts, laughs, and ice-cold moments that never miss. It's the original light beer, and it's still my go-to. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Cheers to 50 years of Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Dan Le Batard.
It's all about me.
Stugotz.
Whee!
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
This is behind the bit.
This is behind
The bit. This is behind
the bit.
For the past 20 years, you've seen and heard bits on the Dan Le Batard Show. You may have wondered to yourself, what are these bits? And what's wrong with these people?
Who is John Amici?
John Amici was a former NBA player and just a very intellectual man who, I don't want to say doesn't have a sense of humor, because I don't think that's fair to John, but John takes himself more seriously than we would take ourselves, I would say. And John Amici is someone who would probably not be hanging out in the same circles as Stugotz, per se. So he's a very well-read man. He wasn't knighted officially, but he has like a British royal title of sorts, and just is into very smart things that go above the head of all of us.
I believe he scored the first ever points at the Miami Heat's newer arena. He was a close friend of Dan's. He made headlines once he retired when he penned a book where he came out to the nation. John Amici had a really strong relationship with Dan. They were good friends, and he was someone that was always so intelligent and wonderful to have them weigh in on big, important societal topics on our show. You can never have enough smart people surround your show, especially when you have Stugotz there weighing the median average down.
John, when he met Dan, took him to a gay bar. And Dan still did not know that he was gay, despite bringing him to a gay bar. He didn't suspect that. Like, this is a place to go. Like, okay. But yeah, that was pretty funny, thinking about that. But yeah, like, John is, just like Bomani, one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. He's a constant ally, and we are an ally of him, and just all around good man.
So we thought, let's play a game and waste John's time and have him try to figure out what it is that Stugotz, who's not well-read, what he's trying to say mid-sentence, mid-thought. Sometimes he just ejects in the middle of the word. Sometimes he just mispronounces words. So what we would do is we would save a bunch of clips of Stugotz just not saying words the right way, and then horrify John Amici, who speaks perfect English. And John was terrible at this game. And I think he was frustrated because, you know, as an NBA player, as someone who's a successful businessman, he has succeeded at many things in life. And this is just one that we knew he was not going to succeed at. And I think it drove him nuts that this dumb game always got the best of him. And it was really unfair. I mean, some of the words that we would play for him are 4 or 5 syllable words that Stugotz would condense down into 1 syllable and then move on to his next train of thought. So John never really stood a chance in this game.
What is the first mispronunciation from Stugotz?
Analysis. Dallas or analysis? See, I think it's Dallas, but that's too simple. Analysis?
That's what I would have guessed.
Wow, spot on.
That would have been my guess.
Formula. It's either formula, but having said that, I can't imagine a context in which Stugotz would have to say that word. Formidable.
All right, you are overthinking this.
I think it's formidable.
Despite Dan trying to help you out, it is formula.
Oh, no.
Bro. Oh, come on now. Bro. I've absolutely got nothing.
Drawer.
Bro. That is a tragedy right there.
Hermaphrodites.
Oh.
Hermaphrodites.
Hermaphrodites.
Yes, of course.
Right.
Ah, there we go.
Of course.
Oh.
Of course. What do you mean? Oh, God.
Oh, I hate you so much right now.
Merce.
Is it most, or is it... Well, that's not my final answer. I'm going to go with mist.
It's most.
Oh,
my God.
Holy sh**.
I was robbed.
You were not robbed. You made your own decisions.
I'm sorry, that was robbed.
You made your own life choices. You had victory in your hands and you let it go.
How did this one start?
Stugotz just pronounces things very poorly for a broadcaster.
And John Amici is so smart, so the idea of him trying to guess what language it is I'm speaking.
Yes.
And what words are coming out of my mouth. It's funny.
It's such a great idea because all it is us taking things that have been said in the natural flow of Stugotz broadcasting as Stugotz, and he doesn't finish all of his words, and he tries to get to the next thought a little faster before he's finished the other one.
Small windows.
And so words get jumbled up, and so we had an endless library of things that Stugotz had mispronounced.
What I always loved about that segment is Mike would give him an easy one, like a fastball right down the middle, just so he can gain some confidence to think this is the time I'm going to win the game. Meach has never won the game. Did he win once?
Well, he claims that he's won.
Once. I'm not
the
certain.
only times he's won is when we've made terrible mistakes somehow.
Right.
It's not because he ever deserves to win.
But Mike would groove the first 1 or 2 in, and then the next 3, change-ups, curveballs, everything.
Impossible.
And Meach is swinging and flailing and falling to the ground.
That's
and
right.
He can't win.
He can't win that game.
Yeah.
He always wins.
Dan and Stu talked about it being like a palate cleanser. Did you create this bit, Mike?
I just knew that we needed a device. Our show is really good at getting people in the tent and with nonsense. And then while they're in the tent, we'll have an important discussion. And you're going to be sitting there not really understanding what you're sitting through because we've already put it in your head that we're just going from laugh to laugh and there's going to be important societal discussions along the way, but you're going to enjoy the journey. So we knew that we needed to do something to dress it up. We had come up with games to play with guests. There was this game that we had called Douche or No Douche that we had in our back pocket anytime we needed to spruce up an interview or we weren't exactly sure where to take the interview. And I really liked having that as a device. And I knew, given how strong Dan and John's relationship was, and knowing how playful John was and how much he liked our show and liked Stugotz as a character, I knew he'd be down for this. So it was all about tracking the mispronunciations as they would happen. And we started building up quite the arsenal. I'm proud of that folder. Roy had a very good ear for it. We'd all kind of mark it, like anytime Stugotz misspoke, put that in the Stump the Meach file. And we had to immediately write down what we thought Stugotz was trying to say, because absent context, there was no way that we were going to figure out what Stugotz was going to say. I mean, some of these clips were really ridiculous.
I mean, after 20 minutes of super serious conversation with Dan, you need something.
Yes,
I mean, anything.
we would. A little. It's a little bit of sorbet, a little bit of sorbet at the end of a societal conversation that makes your head hurt.
It was like a treat for a dog.
Yeah, a little bit.
Thank you for giving us 20 minutes of serious shit. Here's Stugotz.
What's up, guys? Tony here, and I wanted to talk about something super important, and that's how I keep my home protected. Obviously, you guys know I have a little one back at home. My wife is there with her, and I get tremendous peace of mind knowing that the moment I leave for work, that my home, my property, my family is protected, not just reactively, but proactively by Simply Safe. They are the #1 for home security on the planet, on the market. There's nobody better than Simply Safe. I got the cameras going on. I got indoor cameras. I got outdoor cameras. I'm looking all over the place. Most security systems only take action after somebody breaks in, but you and I know that's too late, especially when you have a little one at home and when you have your wife at home and the big dog's not there, right? Simply Safe's new Active Guard outdoor protection helps stop break-ins before they happen. AI-powered cameras, live monitoring agents detect suspicious activity around the property. If somebody's lurking, agents talk to them in real time, turn on spotlights, and can call the police, proactively deterring crime before it starts. Everything's on the app. I want to see the cameras. Boom. I see who's walking their dog a little too close to my yard, maybe leaving some dog residue close to my yard. I can go on the microphone and say, buddy, clean up after your dog. Over 4 million Americans trust Simply Safe, and so do I. Simply Safe is offering Batard Show listeners 50% off a new system with professional monitoring. Plus, your first month is free. Visit simplysafe.com/DLB to claim this offer. That's simplysafe.com/DLB. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
Don Le Batard. A woman who was out swimming with her friends is believed to have been swallowed whole by a 13-foot shark without any of her friends noticing. That's the weirdest part about that story. You're swimming with friends, you're having a good time, and then all of a sudden people are looking around and go, where's Shelley? Like, nobody screamed?
Every friend group has a Shelley, though, that if they go missing because a shark ate them whole, you wouldn't notice.
Classic Shelley.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Stugotz.
She went quietly, apparently. If I'm swallowed whole by a shark, you're going to know it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I don't know about the rest of you, but there is something about a stupid movie involving sharks that will make me stop on trailers for shark movies that are made at a really, truly surprising to me rate still, because it's been 50 years this year since Jaws. And I am now stuck in an algorithm that keeps giving me information about the movie Jaws just because of how often I will get sucked into a Meg 2 trailer. For no reason, just because there are so many shark movies that I find it legitimately surprising that so many of them are still being made, given that the most famous one and the best one, I'm going to say, remains the first one. It started as a horror movie. It basically ushered in the idea of the summer blockbuster. It ended the idea of the peaceful midnight swim. Like, just ended A movie ended the idea that you would just go into the ocean and not fear that you were going to be attacked by a shark. But it doesn't get made very well. You'd agree. These movies must do well. They must, because they keep getting made. But I can't imagine them doing well, because why would anybody want to watch any of these shark movies given that it was done best 50 years ago? Yeah.
Meg 2, The Trench's budget was $129 to $139 million. Box office for Meg 2, The Trench, $397.8 million.
That's the second one, and the first one, so there'll be a third one then, right?
I don't know. How long before the next edition, right? It's been a while since Meg 2, hasn't it?
Well,
2023?
If Meg 2 made $200 million, and it's just great fun to see Jason Statham riding a jet ski away from the we've gotten more and more ridiculous. Just riding a jet ski barely away from the Meg's mouth, running on a dock as the dock gets destroyed behind him. Like, it's just more asinine.
So the Meg, the first one, the budget was between $130 and $178 million, which is a lot of missing accountable money there. $48 million is missing. The box office was $529 million. So it's trending in the wrong direction, but it's still making a boatload of money.
It sounds like a comedy, that scene you described. Is it a comedy? I don't know movies.
It is not a comedy, but it is him running on a dock. It's Jason Statham running on a dock, and each of the steps behind him exploding because the shark is getting closer.
Funny. That's funny.
but not as funny as him like surfing on a wave right in front of the giant breaching shark's mouth. Have you guys ever? This was something I stopped on the other day. Again, it's a famous shark photographer who films. I think the title has flying shark in it, but great whites breaching. Have you guys ever seen a great white breach completely from the water? Not slightly to get a seal, but completely from the water, where you see its tail come out. I saw one of those in slow motion the other day on this documentary, and I understand why it is that we're terrified of these animals, but I think I have it right when I say that the midnight swim was not something that people feared before the movie Jaws made them fear it. And I don't think there were summer blockbusters before that movie either. It qualifies as a horror, right? You guys wouldn't think of it as a horror necessarily, but it's a horror movie, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
It's the greatest horror movie of all time, is it not? If you classify it as a horror, does it not then have to be the greatest horror movie of all time? If that's the class that you're putting it in?
Oh, no. There's The Exorcist. I mean, you got that. Silence of the Lambs is... I would call it a horror, but it's necessarily a thriller. But yeah, it's in that pantheon.
Does Silence of the Lambs classify as a horror movie? Like, obviously, cannibalism, you would think that serial killing would, but I don't know if I don't even know how you classify horror movies if Jaws classifies as a horror.
On Rotten Tomatoes, Silence of the Lambs is number 6 on the list of best horror movies of all time. Number 1, Jaws.
Wow.
So Jaws, and that is what, in terms of money or rating?
Rating. I think it's rating and money, because it's interesting, because number 2 here is Let the Right One In, which is at 98%. Jaws is at 97%. I can try to figure out where this all comes from, but I guess they just recently went through and went between rating and also how much money it made. But I will tell you, Dan, the Jaws ride at Universal, which is like, was rinky-dink and did not look like any sort of real sharks, scared me so much as a child that I would not go in the ocean for, I think, 3 years.
This list factors in the tomato meter. Jeremy just scrolled away from what I'm saying, and the listener, the audience driven. So it's they're combining the two with this rating.
That's my bad. I scrolled away.
I know, but Billy just laughing off mic, not helpful, just laughing at your pain and just in general, just laughing at you as things go wrong for you.
It was there for like 2 minutes. I'm like, he won't move it. And then as soon as I started talking.
Yeah, that's on me, man.
Steven Spielberg was in his 20s when he made that movie, and it was filled with an enormous number number of overruns because no one had actually considered how hard it would be to do all that stuff on the water.
And because he's 20, I mean, what does he know how much it's going to cost to make a movie? You know what I mean? Like, how much things? $40,000. And like, okay, you got yourself. He's like, whoa, this is like $8 billion. I really underestimated that.
That would stink. Huh? If you were in your 20s, you're Steven Spielberg. You can't get the Jaws, the 1975 Jaws mouth to work right because you don't have the CGI that you need. So you're trying to do it all with some sort of thing made of ceramic that you're trying to pull up with ropes out of the water.
Puppet.
While doing that, when was this? Like 1970, whatever. Jaws was like 1975.
Well, it's 50 years.
You think at some point they're like, man, this is really hard. Like, and someone had a conversation like, how much do you think an actual shark is going to cost? And let's just kind of record the shark doing these things.
I don't believe that's how they.
You don't think anyone at any point said maybe let's just use a shark for some of these shots?
I have way too much information on all of this stuff. No, I don't believe they said let's use a great white for any of these shots. And also, I think the person who wrote and acted in the film got all of $13,000. Got a total of $13,000 for everything that he did for the movie. Now, Greg, surely you've seen Jaws as somebody who doesn't watch very many movies.
I saw Jaws in the theater when it came out. I was in my very early 20s at the time. I have since seen it on TV. I love the movie. I never considered it a horror movie. So out of curiosity, I Googled, was Jaws a horror movie? And for what it's worth, AI says, yes, Jaws is widely considered a horror movie, despite also being classified as a thriller and an adventure film.
I want to find out how it is that people broadly define horror, because I tend to think of supernatural as opposed to natural types of death, right? I tend to think of the supernatural being involved with the horror genre, but I don't think I necessarily have this right if Silence of the Lambs classifies as a horror, when I would think of that as a thriller, but it's probably not a thriller, right? It's probably closer to horror. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, Juju. Silence of the Lambs, closer to thriller or horror?
I would call it a psychological horror movie, considering Hannibal Lecter was, I guess, a therapist.
I think of a horror movie as Halloween, Freddy Krueger, that kind of film.
Well, that's death and not supernatural. So you're talking about psychological thriller. Is that a genre? Does that count as a genre?
The definition for horror film is a film genre that seeks to elicit physical or psychological fear in its viewers. So horror films often explore dark subject matter, may deal with transgressive topics or themes. Broad elements of the genre include monsters, apocalyptic events, and/or religious or folk beliefs.
Exorcist is the one that I think of when I think of supernatural. But the second best shark movie is
Deep Blue Sea.
Is Casino.
Is that? Is it Deep Blue Sea or Deep Blue? Is that the one that?
No, it's Deep Blue Sea. Deep Blue is a chess computer.
So Deep Blue Sea is which one? Because I told you that I let out a horror movie scream in my living room at a movie I thought was called Deep Blue. And spoiler alert here, even though it's not a spoiler alert Wednesday. I've told you this story before. It was a horror movie screen alone, 4 a.m., sitting on my couch. And I wouldn't have screamed louder if the great white shark had appeared from behind my couch to eat me at that moment. I was so surprised. 10 minutes in, spoiler alert, Samuel Jackson getting eaten with a breaching shark that ate him. That's Deep Blue Sea?
Yes, sir. That is Deep Blue Sea. Samuel L. Jackson is in that movie.
Yeah, Deep Blue is rated G. It has a picture of a penguin on the cover.
Okay, two very different movies.
Samuel L. Jackson also sounds like Declaration of Independence.
It does.
Right?
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely
Good call,
right.
Billy.
Yeah.
Billy, if you want to just do this for the rest of the show, I think you have found a lane here.
It's just a cheat code, right? If it's an Alexander's probably on there.
Billy Hamilton.
Jackson.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, Billy Hamilton is
Yeah,
good
his
too.
friends called him Billy. He went by William, though, on the official signing. The signature was William Hamilton.
But not Denzel Washington.
What about Ron Washington?
Ronald Washington, yes.
Thomas Jefferson?
What is that?
I know. I'm intentionally not playing the game right.
Richard Jefferson.
But why?
Richard Jefferson's
George
good.
Washington? I don't know.
No, but yes, you guys can do this with. The reason Alexander Mattison was good is because the last name wouldn't be on the Declaration of Independence, but the Madison felt like the right syllable count.
Somehow Hank Blaylock feels like it counts.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Hank
Blaylock.
No,
Henry
Hank.
Blaylock?
Henry Blaylock
There's
for
no
sure.
Hanks back then.
Henry Blaylock the Fourth.
His friends called him Hank, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Thomas Hank. Forgot the S.
Do you guys have...
I remembered right at the last minute.
Yeah.
It's Tom Hanks, the actor.
Yeah, we got you.
Thank you, Billy. It wasn't annoying enough. You had to go a little extra. Little extra.
Chet Hanks. Doesn't sound like he signed the Declaration of Independence.
Chester Hanks.
Closer.
Oh, his name's Thomas Jeffrey Hanks. For sure signed.
Yeah.
Back to you.
You guys are doing Samuel L. Jackson only because of the L, right? It's not the Samuel or the Jackson.
Samuel fits.
Yeah.
And Jackson fits.
Stephen Adams.
Yeah,
Nice,
Stephen
nice.
Adams, but not
But
Steve.
you guys are now just doing presidential
Stephen A.
names.
Smith.
Like, you guys are... Again, Alexander Mattison works because it's the last name that...
Stephen Morris.
Stephen Morris?
Borderline.
I feel like you need either more of a syllable count. You guys are cheating when you do just the president's names. Like when you do Washington and Jefferson, like...
Yeah, that's the game. Like J.B. Bickerstaff doesn't sound like he signed the Declaration of Independence, but he has the initials at the beginning.
We have a president that was named Alexander, right? But
Jason Taylor.
I feel like we need more. We need more syllables than that. Jason, there's not a. I don't know if
Herb Dean.
There's no way there.
Ooh.
Are we sure that there was a Jason in 1776?
I don't think there
No, that's
was.
a great point. I'm about to look up the origins of that.
It's a
name.
biblical name.
Also, there
Jason
were no
is?
Brads.
It is.
Feels like a newer name.
Nah, I can't see Jason in the Bible.
Well, there it's settled.
Jay? I think they're calling him Jay in Leviticus.
It was born in Greek mythology.
No Brads
Jason
back then.
was?
Turns out.
Did it
And
take
the Argonauts.
some time off at all, or no? Like fashion cyclical. Maybe Jason was popular, then disappeared, and then came back. Jack.
You're telling me the Greek gods, like Zeus, looked at Jay and called him Jason? There's no way. Put it on the poll at Batard Show. Was there a Jason in Greek mythology?
Jeremy, you know something about me, right? You know when I'm grilling outside and it's summertime, you know how I supplement my summertime?
Of course I do.
I make it Miller time.
Of course.
That beautiful white can. Oh, when it's so hot outside, I just put it right to my forehead, right there. And I just roll it sometimes, right on the forehead, cool my body down, and then I crack it open, instant relief, and then that first sip, brother, does that first sip?
That is a top 5 sequence of events that you can possibly go through.
I'm just serenity now when I just imagine that first sip of Miller Lite.
Just thinking about it's making me happy.
Dude, the sun is out. It's nice. You have your friends showing up. You got your family there. You just had your first sip of Miller Lite. And you know what? You're happy. You're blissful. You're fulfilled. I've been stocking my cooler with Miller Lite for years, and for good reason. It's brewed for taste. Only 96 calories and 3.2 grams of carbs. This year, Miller Lite turns 50. That is 5 decades of cookouts, laughs, and ice-cold moments that never miss. It's the original light beer, and it's still my go-to. Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Cheers to 50 years of Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.